The Second World War is one of the most vividly recaptured and remembered occurrences in history. But how can studying this total embroilment of warfare and the causes that incited it lead us to answer the essential question, how do desperate times lead to extreme measures and beliefs?
Everybody up for the finale.
Once I had a pair of shoes, oh shiny patent leather.
One of the most influential of these causes was the Great Depression in the United States. The Great Depression started when workers could not purchase the goods they produced because of improper distribution of wealth. People purchased stocks on down payment and sold all at once, crashing the stock market. When the U.S. stock market crashed, the U.S. pulled all of its money investment from European banks and increased tariffs, causing a domino effect and throwing Europe into poverty along with it. England saved their economy by regulating for inflation, increasing taxes and tariffs. France raised worker pay and benefits, and in the U.S., FDR's controversial New Deal policy stimulated the economy by adding benefits, insuring banks, and other such measures. But Germany, already crippled by the one-sided Treaty of Versailles, was unable to properly recover with the weak Weimar Republic and printed more and more money, causing inflation, making their money worthless. The German people began to become discontent with democracy. And much of the world seemed to share that resentment of democracy, as people noticed how detached Russia was not affected by the collapse. Communism and socialism gained many supporters. Germany was so sick of democracy that they decided to embrace the ideology of fascism, which was created by Benito Mussolini. The fascist ideas they were now embracing led them to believe that they should conquer anyone they possibly could, starting with Poland. The Allies tried to appease Hitler by giving him what he wanted in hopes that he would cease the conquest, but the Germans took the Rhineland and part of Czechoslovakia. Britain said that taking any more territory would force their hand and they would declare war. And when Hitler took the rest of Czechoslovakia, that's what they did. The Germans continued to invade the surrounding areas of Europe until they finally moved into France through Belgium, avoiding all the French forts. British saved many of the French by sending Navy and civilian boats to rescue them at the coast where they were resisting the German forces. The Germans employed blitzkrieg tactics, and Britain as well, bombing with planes and tanks before preparing to send in the infantry, but they never got to the masses of infantry phase because Britain's resolve was not weakened. They broke the German codes with a captured Enigma machine, and due to the combined rising spirit of Churchill and the skill of the Royal Air Force, they were able to beat the German Luftwaffe back. While this was going on, Hitler was busy on the Eastern Front as well. Hitler and Stalin had originally agreed not to attack each other, but Hitler broke that treaty and began to strike at the Russian cities, gaining territory until the bitter chilling cold and the multitude of Russian forces stalemated them. The Germans had received order not to retreat, and after Stalingrad, where they had faced eventual defeat after breaching the city, the German forces in the east hunkered down and suffered casualties for the rest of the war. America had tried to stay removed from the war, but they eventually began sending supplies to the Allies. When Japan decided to attack the United States naval base at Pearl Harbor, FDR decided it was time to join the war. The D-Day invasion took place on the beaches of Normandy in France as the U.S. tried to get to Germany. It was one of the most significant turning points of the war. Many minority groups in America saw considerable change during World War II. One such group was Mexican Americans, who saw an influx in job availability, but who were discriminated against heavily and had their zoot suits, a style that gave them a sense of community, destroyed and outlawed in some places. Women too were given jobs, but when the men came back they had to relinquish those jobs to them. Eventually Germany surrendered, with Hitler's suicide and Soviet and American troops marching on Berlin. But the Japanese continued to fight because they did not believe in surrender. Eventually, the United States dropped atomic bombs on 2 of their cities, ending the war but proving just how desperate measures are sometimes taken in desperate times. But conflicts were not entirely resolved. Stalin seized parts of Europe in an attempt to protect his nation from the West, whom he did not trust, and the U.S. became furious and deemed him not an ally, starting the Cold War. The UN was given part of Palestine, owned by Britain, because they did not want to deal with it. Groups of Jews settled there and declared it their home, causing the Palestinians to feel that it was unrightfully taken from them and caused future dissension because both peoples believed that they have divine rights to the land. The United Nations was formed to be a superior peacekeeping force and to prevent future strife and conflict, and to achieve international cooperation in attaining and maintaining solutions to the world's problems.